Do you enjoy taking personality assessments or assessments of any type? Today I bring you a fantasy style personality assessment that I've created. It is entirely original and it incorporates a lot of the core concepts that exist to the lore of AveyaZ. My name is Aveya and this is AveyaZ. If you are new to this channel, I am a fantasy storyteller and I've spent a lot of time now creating the original works of the lore entirely associated to this channel, within the hopes of one day being able to create it into something on a much larger scale. Lately, I have been wanting to incorporate more interactivity between myself and all of the viewers, and so therefore I've created this personality assessment, fantasy styled of course, that will match alongside the lore of this channel. So without further ado, let's dive in onto the webpage here. I want to go ahead and show you where on the main page of the YouTube channel, within the description, when you click the more button, you will find the link to all associated links that I've created onto this channel, as well as where this personality assessment you'll be able to find. Right there, I've highlighted it for you. You will also be able to find this same link within the description of this video. Now, back to the video. For this personality assessment that I am going to call the Velaris Alignment Assessment, it will take you to this main page here. As soon as you click run tool, this button here, it will take you to the personality assessment. But going over a quick little few characteristics of what this is going to entail, there's a quick description associated to the lore, how this thing really encompasses together. Three things you're going to do. First one is going to prompt you a name that you're going to enter. Secondly, you're going to go through a questionnaire. And then the third part, after the questionnaire, you're going to be given a results page and it's going to showcase two things. The first one is going to be an attribute octagon. So based off of 8 distinct attributes that are associated to the lore, you're going to be given a letter grading as well as a chart, or rather a spider chart of how it's going to be distributed. Looks very cool, very RPG style. As well as regional compatibility gauge on the bottom half. The regional compatibility gauge is going to be your exact distinction of your alignment to any of the 10 associated realms or nations that are applicable to the story. The Velaris Alignment Assessment is going to be a total of 65 questions. The first 50 will have a response between A through E, so 5 different responses total you could pick. And then the last 15 is going to be a secondary segment where you'll have 1 of 2 responses that you'll be able to choose from, just A and B. Once you go through the entire assessment, and if you're curious as to how your responses affected the choices, I've gone ahead and down below at the bottom of this website tool, I've given the link for the Google Sheets file. It's just an Excel file and it's going to showcase what all responses give for their potential outcomes in terms of what attribute is given for the response or what alignment is presented in the response. The fun part today, I'm going to experience this with you and I'm going to take it myself and give a little bit of my justification as to why I'm choosing the responses that I do. So let's get started. Subject name, of course, you know who I am. I am Aveya. This is AveyaZ. So here we are, the full written name outside of the acronym. And let's get started here. Now, during this assessment, one of the things I've really tied into is the fact that not everybody is going to understand the full lore basis, okay? So right up here in the top right corner, you'll have this Access Lore Guide button. And as soon as you click it, it's going to open up any terms that are used that are designated to the lore of the story, right? And there's going to be a lot of them in here, as you can tell, right? I'm scrolling through here. I mean, there's a ton of them, right? So I'm not only just providing the terms, but giving you full descriptions of what these are, right? And then towards the end of this Access Lore Guide, you're going to also be able to see all of the realms and nations of those 10 distinct opportunities or alignment potentials that exist as well. You're going to have the name, a title associated to the place, and then also the description for that particular location. One thing I want to go ahead and note immediately is a lot of this is going to be entitled to these what are called archive entries. Archive entries are the historical and academic journals within the realms, many of which are about the past and identify specific individuals. For the sake of being a lore basis, we call this the Velaris Archives. This is the quote-unquote justification of the archive entries. So when you're choosing to access the lore guide, you're choosing to access the archive entries in the world of Velaris. So let's get started here. So question 1. A dense mana storm from Nithra is visible on the horizon. What is your first instinct? So I already have 2 terms here listed. The first one is mana storm. So what is a mana storm? Mana storms are volatile surges of atmospheric energy originating from the nebula. These storms are horribly violent and are equivalent for a magic-driven world full of mana. And then also it designates according by the region of Nithra as well. So it's a mana storm within Nithra. I already know what it is, but for the usage of this, Nithra is also recognized as the realm of mystery. Nithra is often referred to as the Nebula Zone, full of monsters. Only destruction awaits in Nithra's cosmic atmosphere into the void. Which gives you a general idea of what Nithra is. So going back to the question, there's a dense monostorm from Nithra visible on the horizon. What is your first instinct? A, sound the alarms and organize a structured shield formation. B, head to the rooftop to observe and record its data. C, grab your weapon and head out to meet the storm. D, lead loved ones through secret underground paths. Or E, perform a ritual of calming to divert the path. Now for me, I'm definitely the go-getter type where I just want to get into the fights of things, even though this is more of a reference to climate specific. But yes, absolutely. My answer is going to be C, to grab your weapon and head out to meet the storm. Question 2. You find a shattered obsidian shard with a replayable memory. How do you handle it? This is yet another term that is associated, and this is the shard. Shards are crystallized fragments of ancient memory or concentrated power. These obsidian-like crystals often contain echoes of the past or memories of others. Very much like the traditional form of an artifact, but a little bit different. So there's a shard, it has a replayable memory. How do you handle it? A, use mana fusion to repair and preserve the memory. It will maintain order within me. B, absorb the emotion to fuel your own resolve. C, gift the shard as a resonance offering. D, smash it. The past is a burden that slows you down. Or E, hide it. Some truths are too dangerous for the public. There's a couple of other terms. I'm going to quickly go through these as well. Mana fusion being the first one. The advanced science of bonding raw mana into physical matter or biological tissue to enhance the structural integrity and output of a target. Really seeing how the world full of mana and magical infusion really comes into play here. As well as the resonance offering. A resonance offering is a symbolic sacrifice of energy or artifacts used to harmonize an individual's soul with the frequency of a specific realm or ancestral spirit. Very much like a traditional measure or holiday specific piece, as you'll see later on as well. So when I see all of these, the first thing that really comes to my mind is response B, absorb the emotion to feel your own resolve. You put the word right in there, to feel your own resolve. That's absolutely what I'm doing here. Question 3. In a team combat scenario, which role do you naturally gravitate toward? A, the frontliner, standing as an unbreakable wall. B, the tactician, identifying enemy weaknesses. C, the ravager, diving deep into the fray to disrupt. D, the rejuvenator, enhancing allies through spiritual pacts. Or E, the entropy, mixed tactics of melee and magic. For me, I'm definitely the one who loves to get in head first into the fights. So therefore, I'm choosing C, the ravager. Question 4. What is the most important trait a leader can possess? A, absolute discipline, standard bearer for the law. B, empathy, feeling the struggles of the people. C, dominion, inner strength of character and willpower. D, wisdom, knowing history to avoid mistakes. Or E, adaptability, thriving even when the gates are locked and devastation is likely. The reference of the gates is the whole idea on Nithra being the outer realm of the centermost part of the world, and it's harboring all of the most dangerous parts of the world as well. As for me, I recognize that the trait Dominion is a trait or attribute of character in reference to the Chaos realm, and for me, that's really going to shine the most, and that's why my answer is going to be Dominion. Question 5. You're offered a blessing of Ascended Chaos. How do you feel? Another one of those terms that comes into play here. So what is the blessing of Ascended Chaos? The blessing of Ascended Chaos is a blessing of ultimate power granted by the fused individual AveyaZ. It allows 4 other individuals to be given the power of blood rage from Chaos Resurgence without the drawback of potentially losing themselves to the will of Chaos. Well, what in the world is Chaos Resurgence then, if you do not know? Chaos Resurgence is a 3-phase transformative state for the Chaos Royal bloodline of Zendelga. Stage 1, Blood Pulse, enhanced power with minor body decay. Stage 2, Bloodlust, significant enhancement with body decay. And Stage 3, Blood Rage, overwhelming power at the cost of very likely becoming possessed by the will of Chaos. So inevitably, Blessing of Ascended Chaos is allowing that Stage 3 overwhelming amount of power to be accessible without the chance of possession. So that is inevitably, that is very powerful, especially in a fantasy structure. So you're offered this blessing, how do you feel? A, I embrace it fully, power ensures retribution. B, I accept it only to protect my companion's health. C, I reject it. Chaos leads to eventual corruption. D, I study its mechanics first for future monofusion. Or E, I am indifferent, I choose to follow the void. As for me, I am absolutely going to embrace the power. So I'm going to choose option A. Question 6, which environment makes you feel the most at peace? A, orderly golden halls of a massive capital city. B, a quiet misty forest where spirits roam free. C, a bustling harbor city filled with travelers. D, a library deep within a large academy. Or E, dark silent ruins of a forgotten civilization. I have to admit, I really like the idea of the dark silent ruins. It's really hard to not enjoy those types of atmospheres, almost post-apocalyptic in those fantasy type stories. But for me, I'm very much of a city person, and so I'm going to go with option A, orderly golden halls of a massive capital city. Question 7, a jester offers you double mana capacity, but your stats become unpredictable. Do you accept? A, yes, a little chaos makes life interesting. B, no, my stats are the result of hard-won struggle. C, I take it after calculating the statistical risks. D, neither, I will negotiate for a greater outcome by gambling a more weighted deal. Or E, I ignore the jester, I don't engage with mockery. For me, this is an easy one. I'm definitely going with option B. No, I'm not accepting it from the jester, but my stats are all based off my hard-won struggle. Question 8. You're exiled from your home without nothing but your weapon. What do you do? A, join a Deviborn tribe in the wild to learn survival. You choose the tribe. B, find a small village and offer your skills to rebuild. C, roam the realms as a lone wanderer. D, travel to a capital to plead your case. Or E, use exile to and ascend to new heights never seen before. I am definitely going to use this and ascend to new heights. Question 9. What is your preferred method of combat? A, offensive. I will use whatever necessary to kill those that stand in my way. B, negotiation. Discipline and diplomacy is the greatest offensive and defensive. C, hybrid passive. I will use whatever necessary to ensure I bring harmony. D, defensive. I focus on the defensive maneuvers. I am the tank. Or E, stealth. Striking from the unseen, I reflect only in the shadows. And if anybody knows anything about me, you will know that I am definitely very much of a mixture between either being hyper aggressive or playing on the defensive like a tank style approach. So for me primarily though, I'm definitely on the offensive. Question 10, it is the day of stillness, also known as astral convergence. How do you spend your 24 hours? Now, this happens to be an associated holiday on the lore, so going back into the lore guide, so we reach the Day of Stillness. This is in reference to the holiday Astral Convergence, recognized as the Day of Stillness. What is Astral Convergence? Astral Convergence is a holiday in the world of Velaris, when for 24 hours, all gates to Nithra's realm, again the most dangerous realm in the world, which leads to all the outer realms outside of the center realm of Athen, are locked shut and unable to open for 24 hours. Remember that. Since Nithra is filled with danger, the day is celebrated as the day of peace and stillness amongst all regions. So on this day of stillness, how do you spend your 24 hours? A, find a new sense of tradition with those you care most. B, decorating within my home location with festive light displays to celebrate astral convergence. C, prepare for tomorrow's devastation. The real fight never ends. Or D, roam in the shadows. This is a time for self-reflection. Lastly, E, exploring the merchant district and spend some hard-earned cash. Only one of these really comes out to me the most, and that is to C, prepare for tomorrow's devastation. The real fight never ends. Question 11, you're betrayed by a close ally. How do you respond? A, demand justice through the golden law. I'm going to actually take a quick moment and reference that. What is the golden law? The golden law is the absolute mandate that governs the laws that is held by the realm of order Virelion. Athen's capital nation, the center part of the world, Virelios, attempts to maintain harmony as a diplomatic mediator of the law. Whatever you think about the law, in this case for the world of Velaris, it's going to be referenced as the golden law. So you're betrayed by a close ally. A, I demand justice through the golden law. B, retaliate. Find common ground or move on otherwise. C, retreat into the shadows to observe why they turned. D, offer forgiveness if they sign a pact. Or E, shrug it off. In Nithra, everyone is for themselves. This is an easy one. I'm going to choose to retaliate. I'm acting on it. I'm either going to find common ground with this individual or I'm moving on. Question 12. You discover an altar to a godlike being. What do you ask for? A, power to protect the weak and uphold peace. B, ability to tap into chaos resurgence with control. We mentioned that earlier. C, forbidden knowledge about the Agnosis seal. Just a moment on that one. D, the luck to find joy even in the darkest timelines. I am truly unlucky. Or E, nothing. I achieve my own tier through struggle. What is Agnosis seal? If I'm choosing to obtain forbidden knowledge on Agnosis seal, then I need to understand what it is. The Agnosis seal is a specialized containment spell, a magical sealing used to strip away all mana power from an individual as well as their memories. Yikes. Who would ever want that, right? The individual ends with a slow decay to death, though the stronger the individual will lead to a prolonged decay, which is very likely a horrible experience, obviously, right? So having forbidden knowledge on that could be very nice, but what would I do? This is an easy one for me, and that is I would tap into Chaos Resurgence with control. Question 13. You find yourself lost and reach an isolated village. How do you interact? A, share information and bolster their defenses. B, request for the village to immigrate and move into a modernized nation. C, study their spirits to learn how they endure. D, protect their isolation from the dangerous world, order a sanctuary. Or E, find any avenue to train the local citizens to better maintain themselves in isolation. I'm very much the type of person that chooses to fight rather than give up. So I'm definitely choosing the response E, find any avenue to train them and maintain their order within isolation. Question 14. Which class type ability sounds most appealing? A, Blood Pulse Surge. Chaos Imbue Blood Pulse enhancing self-power and resistances. B, Lumendine. Group Instant Heal and enhances allies with light-infused holy attacks temporarily. C, Warden Vine. Channels a damage reduction field around the user within a radius, then performs a counterattack after the duration. D, Veil Step. Blink through a distance nearly instantly and remain as a phantom very briefly. Or E, Void Transcend. Temporarily adjust terrain that also provides certain percent boosts. I really love the idea of the Void Transcend, but I definitely am the type of person who I've already described, love to be in combat in any shape of the manner. Therefore, I'm choosing the capability of enhancing my self-power and resistances. It's just a frontlining character overall. Question 15. A Zendelga weapon morphs into your attributes. What do you envision? What is a Zendelga weapon? A Zendelga weapon is a weapon of the Zendelga royal bloodline for Chaos Royals. These weapons bond with the user's soul, evolving in power and morph to the individual's attributes. So basically it becomes a part of you, right? It's very cool. So what do you envision when this happens? A, a massive shield to withstand any assault. B, dual weapons that fuse together. C, one that bears the traditional roots of internal character. D, mood changing aura. Now I become even more involved in all nations. Another form of being untouchable. Very much of a diplomatic answer. Or E, a deceptive concealed blade of shadow mana. And also, let's go ahead and highlight on that mood changing aura. The mood changing aura is a passive mana field that radiates from a person, altering the atmosphere around them based on their current emotional alignment. This is a form of manipulation mana infusion of highly advanced specialized techniques that can adjust the perspective or emotional response of another person. So absolutely, it is going to inevitably change the overall mindset of those around you for that moment of time. Very powerful tool, and happens to be one of the skills associated to one of the antagonists of the story that I utilize. The answer for me is I'm going to have response B, dual weapons that fuse together. And why do I choose this is because from characters that I often choose between in any sort of fantasy style game, it usually is primary focus on using axe wielders. But if axe wielders don't exist, then usually I turn towards sword wielders. But hey, why not make the two come together? Question 16. How do you view the struggle in your life? A, as a joke. If you can't laugh, you've already lost. B, as fuel that makes me the strongest version of myself. Unity through story. C, strength through strife, glory through trials. D, as a condition to obtain shared bonds and experiences with others. Or E, as a natural part of the cycle. I absolutely use all of my struggles to become the strongest version of myself. Question 17. The golden law, remember this is the overbearing law that exists in the world, is hurting the poor. What do you do? A, lead a revolt to tear it down. B, work within the system to change the law. C, provide resources as a third party to help bring positive change. D, ignore it, focus on my own survival. Or E, spread the truth through satire and performance. Now, this is definitely going to be a response for political affiliation, right? And then this fantasy story style of how things are, but not only the way I interpret my own political justifications. Oftentimes, I very much just don't exist in any of that type of atmosphere. So therefore, I'm choosing D to ignore it, focus on my own survival. Question 18. Are you in the corruption or soul resonance state? Now, these two states are going to be a big deal when it comes to the overall lore complexity of the story. So let's start with the corruption level state. The corruption level state measures the taintedness of dark energy or unfortunate circumstances. The three stages of corruption are pure, stable, and corrupted. In terms of the amount of those corruption levels, pure is going to be the low level, the mid-level being stable, and the corrupted level being the high level. The soul resonance state is a measurement of connection to the world or others, often referencing leadership capability or likableness. The three stages of soul resonance are as follows: low level being hollow, mid-level being attuned, and soul-bound being the high level. So which one of these states are going to follow under? Maybe both, but which one of these two is going to highlight you more? A, corruption, specifically impure, unaffected by the corrupting. B, corruption again, stable, balancing internal darkness with control. C, soul resonance and soul bound. One who breathes shared purpose, I can guide the path. D, soul resonance as resonant. Tapping into resonance brings power, but not leadership. Then lastly, E, corruption level corrupted. Something inside me remains toxic outside of my control. One of the big characteristics that I lead on within the story is a soul-bound companion, and that's going to be the one part that resonates the most with me. So therefore, my response is C for soul resonance, soul-bound. Question 19. Where are you in the Citadel during the day of stillness and astral conversions? This is going back to the holiday. A, creating gear for tomorrow's continuing conflict. The battle will rise once more. B, greeting weary travelers in the central hall. C, reflecting on the highest spire. D, finding conformity with others inside the Citadel. Or E, creating holiday specific magic infused decorations. That's very holiday specific. As for me, if I'm in the Citadel during this day of peace and there really isn't a whole lot of conflict going on, normally I would think in a fantasy scenario, I'm likely going to be thinking about creating gear and getting ready for the next day, but there's always going to be a moment of reflection to occur. And for me, when I get together on the holidays, I tend to spend my time either finding conformity with those individuals or reflecting on myself. And that is why I'm going to choose response C, reflecting on the highest spire. Question 20, which divine affinity do you feel most connected to? In the story, I use this as a guide for 3 different levels of divine affinities. Within the lore and the combat mechanics to the story, a divine affinity is the designation of power assigned as passives for tier 4 or higher individuals that branches towards the outer realm dichotomy. Divine affinities currently are exemplar for the order realm, resonant to the chaos realm, and void, which represents neither. And within the lore complexity of the combat mechanics, there is a 5-tier system in total. So once you reach tier 4, you are then available to obtain a divine affinity. But for the sake of the responses, which divine affinity do you feel most connected to? A, exemplar, embodying the absolute purity. B, resonant, embodying the adaptive power of chaos. C, void, existing independently of both alignments. D, nothing, I choose not to be a part of this world. Or E, conviction, I will unify everything as one. I'm very keen on the entire dichotomy between chaos and order, and for my path that I choose, I resemble the one of chaos. So my response here is going to be B, to be resonant. Question 21, you open an establishment in Virelion. What is it? A high security vault for the archive entries. These depths are not just historical. B, an academy for advanced fields of study. C, a colossal arena, but we could keep it open for entertainment only. D, a central trade hub to regulate commerce. Or E, a historical site to remember the past when anarchy existed. I'm a big fan of anything combat related when it comes to fantasy stories. Therefore, my answer is easy choice for me, and that is C, a colossal arena. And who knows if I do choose it for entertainment purposes only. Question 22, Demiborn children struggle with verdure. This is defined balance and traditions. You choose to what? A, show them how to mediate to find balance. B, build a training ground to help discipline and combat mechanics. C, tell stories of rebirths to give them hope. D, use a light display to show mana flow. Or E, encourage them to find their own path. I am absolutely a big precursor on this channel, trying to tell everybody to find their own paths and find what works best with them, what resonates within you, find your sense of resolve. I'm absolutely choosing response E. Question 23. A merchant lord offers one cloak of deception. What is a cloak of deception? Cloak of deception. A monofused cloak that allows concealment of identity from others fully based on comparative insight values. Insight happens to be one of those 8 attribute values that you'll be granted at the end of this assessment. The higher insight the user has, then the other individual has low or no chance of identifying the user. So it's just a cloak of concealment, basically. So you're offered this cloak. A, you negotiate using market insights. B, challenge a rival to a race, winner keeps it. C, buy it immediately for an ally who needs it. D, inspect its monofusion for tampering. Or E, steal it. There are no laws beyond the gates. I'm definitely one of these 3 here, but my go-to answer would be C, to buy it immediately for an ally who needs it. Question 24. The water north of Virelion has a mana drought. You, A, use ancient rituals to call for natural rain. B, use water affinity magic to pull from the monofused air, though it's not as efficient. C, ration current resources according to the city capital needs. D, lead a party into Nithra to find a new mana source, that dangerous outer realm. Or E, go to a hostile nation and demand resources or conquer them. Start a war, right? I can't say I'm looking to start a war right now, but I will absolutely lead a party into the dangerous realm. What a question to throw out there, right? Question number 25. Which motto resonates with you the most? A, the golden law, harmony within all. B, strength through strife, glory through trials. C, the beacon of progress through the arcane pulse. D, all paths lead to prosperity, where all paths converge and no sword strikes first. Or E, born by blood, bound by spirit, we walk as one, beasts in balance. These happen to be mottos resonated to some of the designated nations within the realm of Othen. So therefore, it really highlights each characteristics of the types of individuals that would portray in each of these. For me, I am definitely option B, strength through strife, glory through trials. Question number 26. You choose to explore new lands. Who do you bring with you? A, the strongest people I know, they are prepared for anything. B, my entire social network, we can change society. C, my friends, we can create a new order. D, my closest companions, we create harmony wherever we go. Or E, my family, they all deserve to see the world. And for me, this is a trick between response A and D. My closest companions are the number one choice that I choose, but they also happen to be the strongest people that I know. So therefore, I'm going to settle on response A to bring the strongest people that I know. Question 27. A time wanderer appears. What do? A, mention it's obvious the person is not from the local area, but request the local inn for shelter. B, mention to the person that they are not from these parts, but request to show them around. C, become acquainted, then document their original timeline's history in secrecy. D, request to help, but accept that they decline any interaction. Or E, leave them. Their struggle is their own. I absolutely am going to assist them in some way, but I understand if they do not want the assistance. Question 28. Which architectural style is the most impressive? In your opinion, of course. Response A, impenetrable stone walls and golden gates. B, flowing harbors and trade districts. C, buildings grown from trees and earth. D, high altitude spires that touch the stars. Or E, resilient makeshift ruins in nebula. Earlier, I did talk about how I had the distinction between being a very war-based type of style. The one that shines out the most to me is going to be the makeshift ruins in nebula. If there was anything involving arenas, then I would have chosen that. But for the case of this one, now I get to choose the makeshift ruins. Question 29. You find a treasure chest full of artifacts. What do? A, donate them to preserve their history. B, use them as an offering. C, sell them in markets. D, use them for weapon attachments. Or E, keep them as a personal lucky charm. I'm absolutely going to use these as weapon attachments. Question 30. How should you be remembered in archive entries, the historical journals? Yeah, I almost want to click that button, but I'm not going to. A, as a defender of the law. B, as a wise sage. C, as a neutralist. D, as a light bringer. Or E, as a survivor of catastrophe. My God, that is one of the easiest ones I could pick, and that is absolutely going to be response E. Question 31. You reach elite tier. Which path do you take? Which tier is elite tier? So out of the basis of the 5-tier system, elite tier is tier 3. This tier unlocks the capacity or the capability of mana fusion. And we talked about that earlier. This is the very big distinction of how this world operates. So you reach elite tier. Which path do you take? A, with the primary focus as a melee fighter with a minor magical combat. B, primary focus as a magic fighter with a minor in melee combat. C, focus entirely on mana fusion variant techniques. Intel is powerful. D, focus on protection to become an Iron Soul. That's the gamified tank players right there. Or E, seeking a balance of both melee and magic constraints. Me, so easy, so easy, so easy. I am always going to be the melee fighter, first up in combat, up front and personal. Question 32. You face a mirror alter self. How do you win? This is going to be based off of the alter spirit that ties into the lore. And the alter self is a variant of oneself, but a twisted version with differing principles. Oftentimes, it's just going to be the exact opposite of what that person is. So you face your alter self. How do you win? A, overpower them with resolve. I am the original. B, use logic to find a flaw in technique. Even alternatives have other flaws. C, find a way to coexist together in harmony. D, allow your differences as variants to find common grounds. Or E, outlast them with resilience. I am absolutely choosing either option A or E, but if I had to imagine between for myself, do I have a higher sense of resolve or resilience? My answer is resolve. So therefore, I'm going to choose option A to overpower them with resolve. I am the original. Question 33. Would you accept being sealed away in a magical seal if it meant to survive? And within the lore of the story, there's two different magical seals that exist. The first one mentioned earlier is Agnosis seal. The other one is the Chronostic seal. Option A, yes. My body is a vessel that can always be rejuvenated. B, no. I would rather die with my birthright intact. C, yes. But only if my companions are safe too. D, no. I will find my own way to survive. Or E, I am indifferent. Life and death are a cycle. I am going to D, no. I will not accept the magical seal to survive. I will find my own way to survive. Question 34. What is your opinion on the soulbound ritual? The rest of the text is a short form explanation of the soulbound ritual. But really, let's go and find the full justification of what it is. The soulbound ritual. A Zendelga Chaos Royal Bloodline ritual taking place that allows for two souls to become linked, allowing for shared passives to be transferred as well as other non-combat mechanics like telepathy between the two individuals. Only one of any direct Zendelga beholder can initiate one soulbound ritual. So now it gives you the justification of, okay, so it's definitely a testament of power. So not only is it linking the two individuals together, but it's generally speaking going to enhance the individuals with the transferability of those passives, right? So what's your opinion on it? A, a testament to loyalty and shared life. B, a dangerous gamble tying fate to another. C, the ultimate source of power. D, I would only perform it if it were regulated by the law. E, unnecessary. My connection to the land is enough. And for me, this is a direct reference to a soulbound companion. And for that, I'm going with option A. This is a testament to loyalty and shared life. Question 35. Your shattered obsidian weapon enchantment. What is it? A, corruption. Absorbs chaos to grow stronger. B, vigor. Strength grows with defeated enemies, but has a capacity. C, materialism. Enhances the effectiveness of luck-based effects. D, volatility. Can choose to raise some stats at the cost of the others. Or E, radiance. A beacon of light that inflicts additional magic damage. I'm always going to be the follower of anything that resembles chaos, so I'm going to choose option A, corruption. Absorbs chaos to grow stronger. My secondary choice would have been Vigor. Question 36, a tier 4 Ascended Reaper blocks your path. You A, coordinate a team assault. B, channel Radiance to prepare for its first move. C, imbue with Chaos Mana and strike the core. D, use a Harmonic Veil for temporary invisibility. Or E, attempt to negotiate. Some monsters have self-governance. I am going to strike at its core and annihilate that thing. So I'm going option C. Question 37. How do you feel about the Blessing of Chaos? What is the Blessing of Chaos? Well, let me tell you here in just a second. The Blessing of Chaos is a boost in power to several attributes that is reflective to the recipient's traits, but at the cost of potentially rising in a corruption state based on duration and usage, capable by tier 4 or higher Chaos Mana users. Bringing back that idea on corruption level. So how do you feel about the Blessing of Chaos? A, necessary tool to harness strength. B, I would use it to grant incredible power to my closest companions. C, I would rather use a Blessing of Order. Of course, right? You gotta have that dichotomy in there. D, I want to study how it combines power. Or E, my own will is enough to resist possession. I am going with B, I would use it to grant incredible power to my closest companions. Bringing back that soulbound companion arc. Question 38. Which combat environment is most favorable for you? A, narrow corridors of ruin. B, wide open mana heavy plains of light. C, shifting gravity defying cosmic terrain. D, blood soaked arenas. Or E, in the forest where the architecture is alive and moves with its own will. Most favorable, I would say 99% of the time. Again, if there's an arena involved, put me in it. Question 39. You find a shard with a Divine War memory. Remember, those shards contain pieces of memories, but specifically of the Divine War. What is the Divine War? The Divine War is the ancient conflict of world war in the world of Velaris. So basically an imagination of World War I. Many godlike beings had overwhelming amounts of power in comparison to the masses and were declared a threat to the living. Gods versus mortals. Some godlike beings decided to fight alongside with mortals because they agreed in their perspective. After the war, many godlike beings were sealed away using magical seals. Only 5 were documented to remain in the realm of Athen. So with this shard, what do? A, learn forgotten arts of ancient gods. B, help a descendant reclaim birthright. C, destroy it. These memories are best left forgotten. D, use it to strengthen conviction. Or E, sell it in Nebmira to a merchant lord. Nebmira happens to be the quote-unquote mage tech nation of the world of Velaris. I choose to help a descendant, and that is option B. Question 40. Your goal at the end of a true finality. That is the ending to your story. A, return to my timeline and restore it. B, stay in the Citadel and build a new world. C, explore the outer realms and secrets. D, establish a new law that protects people. Or E, rest. For those who do not rest, will sooner or later waver. I can't say I have much association to the first 4 options. The one that resembles most with me is going to be E, to rest at the ending of the story in this gamified fantasy scenario. Question 41. What primary quality do you want in a new member? A, unwavering loyalty. B, strategic brilliance. C, absolute power. D, conviction. Or E, radiant hope, a spirit that outshines the nebula. I want absolute power. I choose to harness strength. Question 42. Your role in preparing for a Nithra exploration. A, forging gear with proper mana fusion. B, decoding ruins for the safest path. C, organizing enough offering to bond the team together. D, calculating supplies for a 24-hour siege. Or E, scouting the nebula for weaker monsters. Now, I can't say I'm very magically inclined in terms of forging gear with proper mana fusion, though it is the most battle-ready answer. But in the time, if I'm just preparing for an exploration and knowing that Nithra in itself is the most dangerous realm in the world, I would want to make sure that all my companions are ready and prepared to do this exploration. So I would choose C, to organize an offering to bond the team together. Gotta get to know the people that you're going on an exploration with. Otherwise, one wrong move could potentially cost the lives of everybody, right? As a typical adventurer's party. Question 43. An explosion is imminent. You, A, cast a guard onto everyone within the vicinity. B, attempt to stop the explosion before it goes off. C, use Aeon Curator to restore health. D, tank the blast personally to save others. That's crazy. Or E, teleport away but may have to leave others behind. I'm not gonna lie, I would be going face first and taking the blast for somebody else. But of course, if I'm the one who's taking the blast, I probably don't have that defensive maneuver of a shield or anything like that, so I'm probably just taking the hit. But hey, you do what you gotta do. Question 44, you help a person in a hollow state. The hollow state goes back to the reference to the soul resonant state, and that is the low end of being soul resonant. So a hollow state, a total spiritual collapse where a citizen's mana is completely extinguished, leaving them as a mindless vessel for whoever claims them. You are somebody who has no sense of conviction or any form of wanting to be likable or really share anything with people. You choose to help a person in a hollow state by doing what? A, sharing spirit and mana in a ritual to identify what makes them stabilized. B, guiding them to the citadel to embrace stillness. It's going back to that holiday for astral convergence. C, introducing them to the pulses of nature. D, studying them to prevent spreading hollow status. Or E, letting them find their own way. And I choose to allow others to find their own way. Find what works best for them. Question 45, how do you use mana fusion out of combat? A, creating light displays for festivals. B, reconstructing shards of my personal memories. These will maintain my order. C, imbuing tools with power for citizens. D, enhancing voice to better share stories. Or E, accelerating growth of living architecture. My primary thing is to choose to help others, and by imbuing tools with mana fusion would absolutely give more power to those of citizens who need it the most. Question 46, how do you react to the Jester SpongeBob quotes? So this is a direct reference to Falsa Veritatis Dator, who is one of the major antagonists to the story. So how do you react to his SpongeBob quotes? A, I find it hilariously distracting and join in. B, I ignore it and focus on how to kill him. C, I analyze it to find what truly exists underneath his words. D, I realize he is trying to disrupt my mind. I will stay steady and follow my principles. Or E, I don't react. His existence means nothing to me. I am really inclined to choose E just because of how cool that sounds. But honestly, I would absolutely just ignore him and focus on how to kill him. Option B. Question 47. Who do you bring to your harbor vacation home? A, my soulbound companion for reflection. B, bring performers to turn it into a party. C, a mentor. I must become stronger. D, no one. I need stillness and solitude. Or E, I decline. Retribution isn't finished. I bring my soulbound companion, of course. Question 48. What does the AveyaZ difference or the AveyaZ diff mean to you? A, a measure of compatibility with legends. B, unity I feel with others. C, strength found through personal struggles. D, atonement for past mistakes. Or E, exemplar standard of perfection. Either one of these center to, B or C, are going to be the ones that I am most inclined to, but absolutely it is going to be B, the unity I feel with others. That is my AveyaZ difference. Question 49, what can a doppelganger never replicate from you? So a doppelganger, shifting entities that can mirror the appearance and abilities of others, or better yet, yourself, right? What can a doppelganger never replicate from you? A, my resonance, corruption carries over though. B, my connection to the living pulse. C, my ability to remain stable. It will only copy extreme variants. D, my warrior spirit. I will fight harder than a copy ever could. Or E, my exact thoughts before creating the doppelganger. It's likely to be my dark half. If a doppelganger is replicating from me, it's going to carry my corruption. Question number 50, the last one of this first segment. Your Citizen Dossier is printed. The Citizen Dossier is the comprehensive summary of an individual based on numerous identifiable measures and is often associated with one's citizen or status. It also happens to be the name of the results page. So your Citizen Dossier is printed. You think A, I am ready to become part of the legend. B, my straight through struggle led me here. C, the golden law will guide my next steps. D, I will forge a path into the nebula zone of mystery, the realm of Nithra. We will create order in uncertainty. Or E, do I truly belong here? And I choose. My response is based on my strength through struggle has led me here. So now the easier part of the segment, where there's only 2 options for the 15 questions. These 15 questions are going to be heavily based on providing an archetype basis or a foundation to the attribute results on the end. So question 51, Magic versus Melee. Which best describes your character in Velaris? A, physical characteristics over magic, or B, magical characteristics over physical. Very rarely do I ever play anything that involves mages in game structure, so I'm going with physical characteristics. Question number 52, Juggernaut versus support. Which best describes your character in Velaris? A, I am the iron wall that stands between devastation and the team, or B, I am the breath of life that ensures the team remains stabilized. I am certainly more of a tank player than a support player. Question number 53, speed and precision versus brute force. Which best describes your character? A, 100 shallow strikes delivered before the enemy can blink, or B, one single world-ending blow that turns armor into dust. I'm absolutely more of a brute force kind of guy compared to being a speed-oriented character. Question 54, control versus chaos. Which best describes your character? A, I dictate the flow of battle, placing enemies exactly where I want them. Or B, I unleash the chaos onto my foes, disruption at its best. I'm absolutely the disruptor, not the guider. Question 55, slow and steady versus high intensity. Which best describes your character? A, I am a glacier. I move slowly, but nothing in Velaris can stop my advance. Or B, I am a lightning strike. I burn out quickly, but my impact is blinding. When I am reading these 2 answers, I'm reading part A, being more of a frontliner, and part B, being more agile. And I'm going to be more of that frontliner aspect, so the glacier. Question 56, ranged and tactical versus close and personal. Which best describes your character? A, I end the threat before it ever enters my personal resonance zone. Or B, the threat is already finished when I get within reach. So A is more of a ranged basis of a character, and B is close and personal. So I'm absolutely the melee type. Question 57, spirit and aura versus physicality. Which best describes your character in Velaris? Option A, my power comes from the unseen frequencies and the strength of my soul. Or B, my power comes from the density of my bones and the iron in my blood. And when I think about the strength of my soul, I think of resolve basis, but meanwhile, the other one is more of resilient structure. And therefore, my first initial instinct is going to be option A. My power flows from the strength of my soul. Question 58, complexity versus simplicity. Which best describes your character? A, my style involves multi-layered strategies, or B, my style is simple, hit them until they stop moving. It's ironic because though my styles are always simple in nature, they're heavily complex, but ultimately I follow that basis of I have a goal in mind and I achieve it. Question 59, evasion versus mitigation. Which best describes your character? I am a ghost. The enemy's blade finds only the air where I used to be. Or B, I am the mountain. The enemy's blade breaks against my skin. Agile and deceptive versus very much of a defensive tank orientation. And I'm going to choose option B. Question 60, leadership versus lone wolf. Which best describes your character? A, I am the heartbeat of a team, amplifying the strengths of those around me. Or B, I am the apex predator. I function best when I am the only variable. And though I tend to operate by being the only variable when I come to that very much game structure orientation, I am absolutely the one of a team player. So therefore I choose option A. Question 61, defense and counter versus aggression. Which best describes your character? A, I wait for the enemy to make a mistake, then turn their power against them. Or B, I dictate the pace of the fight, forcing the enemy to react to my fury. I definitely am a large precursor of playing controlled aggression, which is option A. That is waiting for them to make a mistake first. Question 62, utility versus raw damage. Which best describes your character? A, I provide the tools, the vision, and the terrain to ensure victory. Or B, I provide the casualty list because my kill count exceeds expectations. Though I hold a large basis of strategy, I am not the precursor of strategy. So therefore I am choosing option B. I'm the one who's bringing the kill count. Question 63, nature and instinct versus technology and craft. Which best describes your character? A, I trust my primal instincts in the natural flow of the world. Or B, I trust my equipment and calculated logic. I absolutely trust all of my logical basis and calculation. Question 64, sustain versus burst. Which best describes your character? A, I can fight for days without tiring, outlasting any opponent. Or B, I end the fight in seconds, or I don't end at all. I am the resolve, resilience, discipline, you name it. I am there to fight and stay in the fight. So I choose option A. Question 65, and this is the final question. The final anchor. Which best describes your character in Velaris? A, I am eternal and unyielding. I desire for strength. Or B, I am the catalyst. From afar, I maintain order. I am option A. I am certainly not the one maintaining order from afar. That's more of a range basis type of character. I am the frontliner and I am eternal. And here we are to this My Citizen Dossier for AveyaZ. So a couple things to note here. So here's the overall general basis of how it's going to look. A very nice printed scale here. This is the octagon chart and the attribute octagon. And it's going to have a rating system right here on the side for the 8 attributes. And if you want an understanding of how all of this works and the explanations for all of these attributes, as well as the possible rankings, click the Open Archives button up here to open again the Velaris archives, but now it's going to be completely different. It's going to be separated into a couple different segments here. The first segment is going to be an explanation for all of the attributes, for all 8 attributes. So what the 3 letters mean for the full written out word: prowess, fortitude, constitution, resilience, insight, resolve, arcana, and agility, as well as a reference to the description, what they mean, right? What is the measurement for them? And then you get on to also bringing back in, because at the bottom here, I'll show it in just a second, it's going to have the compatibility gauge for all of the realms and the nations. So therefore, bringing back the same descriptions of all those realms and nations. Then finally, the assessment grading criteria. So now you get to see what your basis for obtaining each of these attribute rankings were. And for a quick showcase, a formula that's listed here to be able to look at one of the values here. So for example, I have resilience, a value of 68.815. If I take that visual chart percent and times it by 0.60, I get my true score percent, which will find your basis within one of these, and that leads to your attribute ranking. Lastly, the showcase of the regional compatibility from D rank to God tier, as well as the explanation basis to what each of them mean. Same thing for the attribute rankings, right? And then scrolling down, so then here's the quick showcase of the regional compatibility. And per ranking that you reach will showcase a different color in the bars as well. The bar fills completely once it reaches 70%, which is the starting point for the God tier ranking. And one of the cool things for the God tier attribute is once it's recognized, it's going to put a small point on the chart at the furthest part of the spider chart here. So as you can see, I have 3 God tier rankings, which happen to be absolutely associated to me. Prowess, the attribute for physical damage, resolve, as well as constitution, a raw amount of health pool. So within this part here, I got 3 God tier ratings, which is awesome. And it happens to be the 3 that resonate the closest to me, as well as other ones like fortitude and resilience being more of that defensive basis. So recognized as a frontline character, right? And then prowess being the physical attack strength. Fortitude, I had S tier in, that's for physical defense. Constitution was my secondary God tier rating for raw health pool and physical stamina. And then the 3rd God tier rating I got was in resolve, and that is your health mana regeneration, tenacity or anti-crowd control, and also damage reduction. So when it comes to me as a character, and also if you've ever looked back on this channel and you go back to when I utilized the character creator tool in creating Von Zagar or Von Zendelga, and this actually nearly perfectly represents what I showcased there as well. And when it comes to the regional compatibility, the protagonist character that's based on me is a Chaos Royal to Zarvheyl, the Chaos Realm. So getting that in the top representation makes sense for me. Dragorn is a nation in the Pillar of Strength, as well as the Beholder of the Grand Guild. So having that being my secondary basis makes a lot of sense for me there as well. And then the secondary affiliation being Nithra, that dangerous realm of mystery, coming back into play. That also makes the most sense for me thinking back at it too. So out of these distinctions, out of one of these realms, that is the realm of Athen, there is 5 associated nations inside of that realm. And I have 2 absolute designations of location distinction. One as an affiliation, and then all of the others, I am basically just I definitely do not need to be there at all, right? So once you've taken the assessment, you get your results, you get to look through everything that gets to be showcased, you get to share it with others, really get to experience the whole same thing, and really get to interact with the lore of the story and feel connected to it, right? My purpose here is to be able to connect everybody to the lore of the story in some shape, way, or form, but also be able to come back and be able to have a greater understanding of yourself as well, in the most gamified fantasy structure sense. And one final note here, which I think is super cool, and you get to the very bottom, which is that as if you were given a pamphlet that showcases your Citizen Dossier is handed to you as a brand new citizen to the world of Velaris. And what does it say? Soul signature assessed, protocol complete. Welcome to Velaris, traveler. If you click the button below to reevaluate analysis, it will take you right back to the original main page, and you can go at it again. Reaching to the conclusion stage of this entire video here on the Velaris Alignment Assessment, and I did mention at the very beginning that there was that Excel file that actually showcases a full distinction of what every response means and how the point system carries over. So just to give you a quick little layout of how this thing looks, it's got the question, the option text, as well as the points, how much the points are granted to the system, and then all of the associated choices and what they mean, right? Part 1 leads from questions 1 through 50, and then this part 2 leads from questions 51 through 65. Other materials on here is just the same stuff that exists within the openers of the archive entries, the percentage basis of how the thresholds of compatibility ratings mean, as well as that interpretation. The other tabs are just other distinctions of how I kept all of the material together to then be able to better utilize this information in the future when I choose to develop further into the lore of the story. And there you have it. I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but going through and not only showcasing my Velaris Alignment Assessment, I know this was a rather lengthier video compared to what I normally do, but to not only go through the Velaris Alignment Assessment tool to be able to showcase it in real time, but also get to see my results at the end, which is just a really cool demonstration of not only how it works, combining the lore mechanics and how everything really pieces back together, but then also you get to see an exact showcase from me, the creator of this tool. I'll be looking into the future of creating more interactive tools that will tie not only the lore of the story, but also the mechanics to the story together for all of you to continue to interact with and be able to build and showcase your own type of personas as well. Thanks for being here today. My name is AveyaZ. I choose to change the hearts of many, one person at a time. Thanks for being here. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.